Well, hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Whiskey Calling here. Friday afternoon. I'm kind of beginning to a bit of a rhythm here, and this is the third video I'm shooting here this afternoon. My last one I just shot was Angel's Envy Bourbon, and I thought, you know what? I have an unopened bottle of Rabbit Hole Cavehill Kentucky Bourbon. I thought that'd be a great comparison. This one is sort of like the Angel Envy as well, where I've tried it before, but I don't think I've had my own bottle before. So this would be kind of fun to open this up and see what it tastes like compared to the Angel's Envy. If I recall, there's some distinct similarities. So there's somewhat somewhat good comparisons to do here. This one is 47.5% alcohol. And yeah, Rabbit Hole Cavehill Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. What else does it say? It's a 4-grain small batch, it says. This bourbon consists of 70% corn, 10% malted wheat, 10% malted barley, and 10% honey malted barley. Never chill filtered, as it should be, it says. Aged in handcrafted casks by Kelvin Cooperage. And yeah, it's signed there by founder and whiskey maker. What else does it say here? Yeah, so that gives us a little bit of an idea. Put the whole mash bill on here pretty much, which is interesting. Established in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, so let's give a nice looking bottle. Nice color to it as well, hey, folks. Hope you guys are enjoying something yourselves. It's St. Paddy's Day today. And actually, I've done 3 whiskeys. None of them are none of them being Irish, but maybe I'll get to an Irish a little bit later. Who knows? But anyways, let's see if we can get a good cork pop out of this sucker. Oh yeah, that was a good one, folks. Good one. Yeah, so just finished tasting, like I said, that Angel's Envy, which I really enjoyed. Check out that review if you'd like. It was get a little more specific on what I thought about that one. But this one, let's see what it's like here. Yeah, so nice dark color. Well, dark and, kind of a little bit of a light mixed in there. Kind of a nice looking color, that's for sure. Not too dissimilar from the Angel's Envy. Cheers, everybody. Let's see what it smells like first before I taste it. Wow. Yeah, this is got some almost sawdust honey comes to mind. Somebody took, or even, there's fine sawdust, and then there's sort of that kind of thicker grained, heavy pieces of sawdust from cutting, let's say, some big sheets of plywood or something like that. That type of sawdust. What I'm smelling here, it's almost like if you took that and you sprinkled it on top of some honey. That's a combination of smells I'm getting, which is really nice, actually. It's really quite engaging. Yeah, it's a really nice, almost a little bit of woodsy graham crackers, oaky graham crackers, maybe a little bit of cereal, like Honey Nut Cheerios, but not exactly like that, but something in that neighborhood. Yeah, really, really nice nose. All right, folks, let's get to the tasting, and cheers. Hmm. Wow. Wow. Phew. Tell you, I really, really enjoyed that. Um, Leather. There's a leathery, oaky, sawdusty, drizzled with honey. I mean, that's what I'm getting here. Really, really a nice balance of all those flavors. And it's something that's, oh boy, this is really, really nice. Um, Trying to think how it compares to the Angel's Envy. The Angel's Envy is a little bit more, not quite as oaky, not quite as leathery, not quite as sawdusty. Um, that one, if I recall, was sort of a brown sugar with a light sugar, all kind of, combined. This one is less sugary, and I'm getting more of that, like I said, you sprinkle thick sawdust on honey on top of a kind of a slab of leather on top of a oak bench. That's what you're getting. Cheers. Hmm. Hmm. Wow. And it just there's almost a some of those tasting notes I was mentioning, those 4 or 5 that I've mentioned a couple times now. This has got a really nice balance between all of those happening at once. They're all kind of almost uh, popping between each other all simultaneously, almost in a way that's kind of got like grains of sand just popping in your mouth. But each of those grains of sand is one of these 4 or 5 flavor points. So it's a very, very, very great experience. I gotta say, I was raving about the Angel's Envy just in my last shoot there. This is kind of blowing me away. This Cavehill rabbit hole, blowing me away. It's very, 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 very good. Let's have one more sip, and then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pour an Angel's Envy beside it and give you guys a little bit of a compare and go back and forth, and that should be kind of a interesting exercise here. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of a wood plank. A light honey glazed wood plank. That's the taste you get here from this one. Oh, it's a wonderful combination. I usually like an oaky whiskey, a dry oaky whiskey. I really really enjoy, and I prefer in a lot of situations. The lighter honey notes aren't always my absolute favorite, although I don't dislike them, but they're not necessarily I really gravitate towards. This has got a really, really interesting balance because sometimes if you get dry and oaky, if it's too dry and oaky and that's all it is, it's great, but it can be a touch boring then, right? Because it's just a little bit too, 1 or 2 dimensional. But this has got the layered kind of light honey kind of thing going on, layered perfect, just sprinkled perfectly in with that oakiness. It's like 1/3 light honey and 2/3 oak and leather and sawdust. Very, very nice, folks. Very nice. Okay, I'm going to quickly just pour a little more of this Angel's Envy as a little bit of a compare here. And let's just see, I'm kind of curious as we go back and forth. Sometimes I really like to do that and enjoy it because it really gives that extra layer of... And here's the Angel's Envy. If you haven't watched the other video of mine that I just shot today as well, this is the Angel Envy I'm talking about. This one is it's 43.3%. It's also bourbon, of course. And, I kind of thought these were sort of similar. I've tried both of them before, but I don't think I've owned my own bottle of each of them. So this is kind of nice. So I'm just going to clear up my palate. Interesting little thought for everybody. If you let me know, I always go back and forth between, and I'm going to bring this up because it's St. Paddy's Day today. And I don't want to slag, on St. Paddy's Day, kind of slag Irish whiskey. But Irish whiskey as a category has not always been one of my absolute favorites. I certainly do like Irish whiskey. To a point, and some of them I really enjoy. I can think Yellow Spot I like. Teeling is something else I like. Powers I like. But as a general category, I'm not just pulled towards it as much as some other categories. I'm constantly going back and forth between Scotch and bourbon, with rye as a third category being very kind of that close third spot behind those two being tied. And so I've kind of been in this thing where Scotch and bourbon, I just go back and forth. And of course, within the Scotch category, you've got your peated and non-peated. And that's a tough one too. I absolutely love peated Scotch. And I love some non-peated Scotch too. But Scotch in general just got so many different varieties to try, and it's just so interesting and it's, so good. But bourbons, man, I love bourbon. So I can't, and bourbon again, it's got lots of different varieties as well. So sometimes, it's a fun kind of interplay between those three. But I'm curious what you guys think. What's your favorite categories and why sometimes? It's something to think about sometimes on a day like St. Paddy's Day. I'm thinking, how do you like Irish versus Scotch versus bourbon versus rye versus Canadian whiskey versus Japanese whiskey versus some other, international ones out there. It's sort of an interesting, fun game. It's just a good time. But anyways, having fun with these bourbons right now. So let's see how the Angel's Envy smells and tastes in comparison. It's definitely a bit of a... Now I'm getting a bit of a higher white sugar going on. So one thing I'm picking up right away as a comparison is Angel's Envy has a smooth creaminess to it. Maybe a little bit of a thicker texture, or let's put it this way, a more creamy texture, for sure. Maybe, yeah, a bit more of a lighter. I think I was saying in the review before, it's not quite a honey, but it's like a white sugar, brown sugar combination, and I'm kind of getting that. But yeah, definitely a creaminess, even on the nose. And a very delightful, kind of lighter tasting note that I'm having trouble describing. That's extremely flavorful, relaxing, and again, a nice combination between probably white sugar, like I said, white sugar, brown sugar, with a little bit of honey layered in. Very, very nice. And creamy. Now let's try the rabbit hole back here, the Cavehill. Yes, right when I smell it, it just layers and layers of that sawdust again. Sawdust. Kind of a honey glazed sawdust. Cheers. Yeah, see, the Cavehill, the rabbit hole here, it's, yeah, it's not quite as creamy, but it's not thin either. It's got kind of a, it's got a kind of a, I would say maybe a mid-range thickness, but that's not really what jumps out at you. You don't notice that part. You don't notice the thickness level. You just really notice the flavor, right? And that, you know, there's almost more to say to that. Sometimes a whiskey can be a little bit too thin that it's distracting. Sometimes it can be so thick that maybe it's a great thickness, but that kind of takes over your perception. You don't think about, with the Cavehill, you don't really think about the level of thickness because it's right in the middle. But the flavor really jumps out. You know, there's a leather, and yeah, there's just it's wonderful. You know, I gotta say, this Rabbit Hole Cavehill bourbon is blowing me away right now. It's very, very wonderful. It's you know, I've been seeing the notes already here. Those 5 or 6 notes really come out in a very, very nice combination. And I would highly, highly recommend this. In fact, I want to, you know, kind of do some research if there's any other varieties of the Rabbit Hole and sort of get into those and see what I like. So anyways, folks, I've rambled on enough here. I hope you have a great weekend. We're heading out to Arizona next week. And so I might speaking of bourbons, might try to hunt down some bourbons out there that I've never heard of, never tried before or heard of before. And maybe, you know, give you guys my feelings on those. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe with some nice desert vistas in the background. I've never been to that area before. So that'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a nice change from all the snow behind me here right now. So, but anyways, folks, we'll talk to you again soon. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.